Okay, so following along on these 7 steps that we're running to create profitable social media ads for either ourselves or for our clients, now that we have the ad written, it's very simple. We just got to go into the actual Facebook platform, which also controls Instagram, and create this social lead machine. So this is how you do this. Again, in under 60 minutes. You don't need a website. You can do this really cheap on a really, really guerrilla budget. And I'll also show you some of the optional tools which I recommend that you add to it. So on the 7 steps, we've gone through the first 3. We are now on step number 4, which is create and launch your social lead machine. So here's what you need to run campaigns. Number 1, you need a Facebook business profile. Number 2, you're going to need a Facebook business manager. Number 3, you need an ad account, and then you need a fan page. That essentially is all you need to get up and running and generate leads. There's no additional tools that you need. Obviously, the tools do make it a bit easier, a bit more convenient, such as, if you set up like email notifications for yourself, which you could do through Zapier, but really the top 4 is what you need. After that, you could set up a lead tracker like Google Sheets, which in real time, every time a lead comes in, you could send that. I recommend doing that if it's for a client. You can set up call tracking through CallSling. Facebook Pixel, the way that I do everything is through the Facebook lead ads. And that actually gets around the new iOS 14 update because, again, it's all on Facebook's platform, which they could track. It never goes off to your website on a mobile device where they would lose the tracking ability. So you don't really need the Facebook Pixel, which confuses people. And then the autoresponder for email follow-up. I recommend that, but again, you don't need that starting off. You could even email them manually once their details come in, and then automatic text follow-up. Again, that's optional. Again, that's something that you could then set up after. So this is really what the social media local ads funnel looks like. You got your stuff coming in from Facebook, your instant articles, Instagram. They then see a Facebook lead ad, which shows up in their newsfeed. They click the next step to a lead form, which you could again build inside the Facebook platform. And then from there, we send them, which is optional. You could build actually the thank you page, use the lead form thank you page, so you never need an external website. However, you do need a privacy policy. So that's something that you could set up like on a free WordPress blog or something like that. But essentially, you'd have a branded thank you page. You could build that inside of Snaps. I know that Dan's created a few templates. Very simple thank you page where, again, we're going to drive them for the phone call. So that's pretty much it. They see the ad, shows up in their newsfeed. They're going to enter in their information, whatever details you're collecting. In this example, this is one of the solar ads that we're running for one of our clients. And we're collecting, are they a homeowner? What's their monthly electric bill? Their zip code, their full name, their email, and their phone number. That then gets sent to the client in real time via, an email notification, text message notification. It also populates on the lead tracking sheet, which is a Google Sheet. Again, that's kind of the first step. Step 2 is we always 2-step. The second step, then I like to step them into a phone call, right? Because inbound phone call leads are the best leads because, again, it's a prospect actually picking up the phone. So on the thank you page, it's always usually a second offer, whether it's a free consultation or get a free water bottle or some, take an additional 10% off to drive them in. And then you could see it goes to the lead conversion process. That's going to be different for every business, but that lead conversion is going to take them into a customer. And that is really how you turn clicks into customers, right? They're clicking on Facebook. They go through this local ads funnel and they become a customer. The other bonuses, the other options, if you look at the bottom, is you get your email follow and your text message follow-up. Those are all going to be done to drive them into the conversion process, which, again, that could be completely over the phone. It could be, hey, come in for a free consultation or come in for a free dinner. Whatever that mechanism is, those emails and texts are going to drive them in that direction. So how do you set up the actual campaign? So the campaign structure that we like to use, and there's 3 levels. So you got your campaign level, the ad set level, and your ad. And the way that we set up all of our initial campaigns is 1 campaign, 1 or 2 ad sets, and really 1 ad, and we do a dynamic creative test, which is a newer feature in Facebook where Facebook will actually test your different creative elements. I'll show you how to create that. So once you're in your ads manager, and again, I want to give you the overview for this. In my 60-minute social ads course, we have complete videos over the shoulder, step by step. How do you set up your profile correctly? How do you set up your fan page correctly? How do you set up your business manager? What steps you need to take so that your account doesn't get banned? All that's covered. But I just want to show you the overview so that you could get the overview picture and go out and apply this if you have that stuff already set up. So we always select lead generation. That's on the campaign level. It's going to create a new campaign. That's really the only setting we touch in the campaign level. So that's here. Then we go to the ad set level. In the ad set level, we name our ad set. I follow a very, very specific naming convention. So I will say, hey, P for prospecting campaign, dash DCT for dynamic creative test. And then I'll put in my targeting options, as well as I always end it with a date. So I'll fill in the ad set name. And then I also I click the instant forms. So we're going to let people submit a form to become a lead. I have tried the automated chat that works well, and I've tried the call with not much success, but I might be testing that out in the future again. So I always check instant forms. We then select the Facebook page that you want to promote. And then below that, you'll see this feature called Dynamic Creative. And you want to select that on. So what that allows you to do is that allows you to try different creative elements, different text, different images, different headlines. And I usually like to try 2 of each, like 2 texts, 2 different headlines, and at least 2 different images. That way, we start to see what works when Facebook puts this out, Instagram puts this out into the marketplace for them to see. Setting the budget, again, this is going to be different for every single client that you have. Usually, though, I like to start off anywhere between $5 to $20 a day. The start date, this is actually quite important. The Facebook ad auction starts midnight the next day. So it recounts and they figure out all their available inventory and who's got the budget and the bid. So what I like to do is I like to set that to go live for the next day. And I like to set it to go live at around 12:05, 12:04, around 1 a.m. So usually in the first 2 hours of the next day. So that gives Facebook's algorithm the best chance to allocate that budget throughout the day. Instead, if you do it at the end of the day, it's going to force that spend in. So that's a little pro tip there. Next we go down to the audience. As far as selecting the audience, what we want to do is this custom audience stuff. Again, I cover that in more detail inside the actual program. But for now, just so you guys can get something launched up, I like to do people living in or click here and do people living in this location. I will then select a radius around where the business is. You could type in the business location. You could type in the city. And essentially what I do is I will go into Google Maps, and if it's a local business, I don't want them driving. Well, first of all, I'll ask them what is the area that they usually get their clients from. If they have to go to the actual clinic, like it's a dentist, usually you don't want them driving more than 25 minutes. So I will figure out kind of how long that drive is, and then make it whether it's, if it's a really dense place, it could be 10 miles. If it's really rural and there's highways out in the middle of nowhere, it could be up to a 30 mile radius to run it. So this, said Austin 20. Knowing your age, that's going to come from the research we did. For hair restoration, it's men over 30, right? Then the detailed targeting. So part of my method is trying to allow Facebook's algorithm to do the work. So the only time we use detailed targeting is right in the beginning, which is we want to steer the pixel. So we will select targeting that is very specific. So like, hair type interest for, and it might be a small audience, but I will always test that against broad. And what I mean by that is I will always test that against no targeting, because oftentimes what's going to happen is Facebook's algorithm has gotten so good over the past couple of years that the no targeting at all will actually work better, because that algorithm is going to find where your customers are. So that's a big pro tip. If you're running campaigns that have been running for a little bit, if you switch it out to no targeting at all, oftentimes you'll watch your cost per lead drop. And again, this is something that I learned from one of my friends who they spend over $30 million per month on Facebook ads through their agency. And almost all of their campaigns are either lookalikes or no targeting. A majority of them are no targeting, letting the algorithm run. For placements, again, I do automatic placements. This is something that has changed in really the last year. Before, we used to do newsfeed only, mobile. However, like I cover inside my program, essentially, it's like Facebook is beating the manual user on where to place things. So if you're doing Facebook ads for 2 years, 3 years, 2 years ago, the user used to be able to beat them. It's kind of like Gary Kasparov versus Deep Blue. The human being was always able to beat the chess computer up until when Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov. And now, obviously, the computer can beat the best human chess players every single time. And that's kind of what's happening here. As the algorithm has got smarter in Facebook, the more you're willing to give control over to it, in the past couple of years, the better it's done, to where now what we use is we just use automatic placements. Again, here, we don't really touch anything. And those are really all the settings that we want to set at this ad set level. Now, in the ad level, this is where you're going to actually go and you're going to create your offer. So you're going to name your ad. Here, with Dynamic Creative, you're able to select multiple images. And essentially, we're going to go down here to the text and just put in our text and our headline. And again, this is one of the niches that I was in, cryo slimming. And it's like, hey, Portland, here's what I got. I'm doing up to $250 off cryo slimming and a free consultation. This then was, here's what it will do for you. Cryo slimming is a proven way to remove stubborn area and lose inches in only 28 minutes. Now, wouldn't use that today because this against is a claim. So this actually was one of our accounts here that we learned some lessons on, right? Being a little aggressive here. So, but I just wanted to show you, this was a screenshot that I had. Headline, and then of course the description here was 4.8 out of 5 stars, Portland residents only. This came from their Yelp reviews. We just pulled that over, and that's pretty much it. So you put in your creative. After that, then you're going to then select instant form, and then you're going to click create form. In there, you're going to be able to build out the lead form like this, just simply by following it. You're going to name the lead form, and then it allows you to put in what you want here. So, and some text above it. Pretty self-explanatory, and that is then how you create that. And simply after that, you're going to click publish and go live. So that is how you then go out, select the targeting features, select the Facebook ad, create the lead form. If you've built your own page in CallSling, you're going to redirect that to your branded thank you page. And then obviously the optional stuff, which I don't want to kind of bog you down with the technical details on a live like this, but again, over the shoulder, covered in detail in my Facebook ads course. We show you how to set up the automations with the email follow-ups, text message follow-ups, what software we use, how to build everything, and all this is recorded over the shoulder. Just wanted to do this quick because, again, don't want to bog you down on the live. So that's pretty much how to create the ad. Once the ad is created, we then move into the next stage, which is optimize and scale. So this is really how you read the numbers. So we have the pre-launch. The way that I think of it is there's 3 phases to running a campaign. You got the pre-launch. That's where we did the evaluate and intake. We did the market research and blueprint, and we did hitting the marketing bullseye. Step 2 then is the launch, which is what we just did. Now we're into phase 3, which is post-launch, which is optimizing ads, optimizing the funnel, testing the process, and testing the lead conversion. So right here, this is actually our NeoGraft account, which you can look inside of it there, and you can see different offers we are running: $297 a lead, $11.14 a lead, $6.52 a lead, $9.06 a lead, $34 a lead, $13 a lead. So a couple things are going to happen. You'll see we have had some turned off that are too high, some turned off that didn't get enough spend. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to sort of look at our KPIs. And KPI stands for our key performance indicators. And CPM, important metric. That's going to stand for your cost per impressions. So what does it cost you to serve up 1,000 impressions on the Facebook ad platform, Instagram ad platform? We're also going to be looking at the cost per click, the click-through rate, the cost per lead, conversion rate, CPA, and average order value. So when we look at this, essentially, the most important metric out of all of this, though, is going to be money in, money out. And what we want to do is for ourselves or for our clients, we want to start with the sale and we want to work backwards. So let's assume your client has $1,000, or let's say you have $1,000 product to sell. Let's say you are selling, done for you SEO services. So if you have $1,000 service and you want to get a 2-to-1 return on spend, that means that you could spend no more than $500 to acquire a customer. So that means $1,000 divided by 2. If you want to get 2-to-1, it's $500. So if you convert 10% of your inquiries, people that fill out a form on your website or people that inquire about your services, that means that your max CPL, which is your cost per lead, would be $50. Meaning, if you spent $50 per lead and you got 10 leads, that would be $500. And if you converted 1 in 10 of those at $50 a lead, you would spend $500 to bring on a customer. That customer would spend $1,000 with your service, right? Or $1,000 per month, right? So that essentially is the math you want to figure out for yourself or for your client so you know your KPI. So our key performance indicator would say, hey, if we're getting leads less than $50, keep the ads running. If they're close to $50, optimize. If they're way over $50, shut them off. So there's really 3 outcomes to when you run a campaign. Number 1, and this happens about 10% of the time, it totally bombs. The offer is wrong, something's off, and you get 0 leads, 0 sales. You let it run for 24, 48 hours, you let the algorithm work, and it's just zero leads, 0 sales. That means we go back to the drawing board. In that case, we're going back to looking at the creative, what's the offer, and all that. Number 2, it works exactly as planned or better, right? And this happens 20% of the time. And this essentially is you run it 48 hours, you check it, and 72 hours, and it works, and now you're about scaling it. And then number 3 is somewhere between the first 2 scenarios, and this happens 70% of the time. And this is where we let the algorithm run, we let the dynamic creative ads test, and we start to test out different audiences and different variations. So we test out audiences, we test out CBO versus ABO, automatic bid optimization versus CBO, and then we test out with interest, without interest, lookalike audience, all stuff like that, different offers, right? So those are the 3 things. Now there's 4 rules that I have for managing Facebook campaigns. Number 1 is you want to think like a scientist. Number 1, you are gathering valuable data even if you don't make sales. So I always say this, it's the data, not the drama. For whatever reason, when people run ads, they get really emotional about the actual ads, that they're spending money, right? And really what we want to do is we want to let the data make our decisions. And the way we do this is by understanding statistics. And it's a mistake I see a lot of newbie entrepreneurs fall into, which is they don't understand statistics. Like they'll do 2 phone calls and they'll be like, the leads are crap. Or they'll run an ad for less than is statistically relevant and they'll make a decision, right? At the end of the day, you should, number 1, study statistics so you can understand this stuff. You can make more rational decisions. And number 2 is, I don't consider anything less than 500 clicks to be statistically relevant. 500 impressions at the bare minimum. That means Facebook has had enough time to show the ad, or Instagram has had enough time. So that's kind of rule 2, is understanding statistics. And even for the conversion process, right? There's been many times where we've sent leads to a client, three leads come in, and the client is all distraught, right? They're like, these leads stink. We didn't convert them. Listen, when it comes to phone calls, anything less than 30 phone calls is statistically irrelevant, right? And this client in this particular case, the next 3 leads came in, they closed 2 out of them, and they went, you know what? These leads are great. So understand statistics, understand your numbers, 30 phone calls a minimum. I don't think the leads are bad until, you've ran 30 of them and they have had 0 credit to be able to actually buy something. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is never shut off something that is working within KPI. Test against it. It's a big mistake. Anytime you shut something off, you are throwing the algorithm off, which is a big part of what makes this work, is understanding how the Facebook algorithm works. So you never want to shut anything off that's within KPI. And rule number 4 is you want to understand the algorithm, which is the algorithm needs at least 24 to 36 hours before we evaluate. So a lot of people will run an ad, it's not working in the first 6 hours, and they freak out and turn it off. So again, this is something we don't want to do. And that's pretty much it for how to manage this. So obviously I want to keep this quick, but in the course, I cover what do you do? How do you scale? What are the 3 different ways to scale? And then, my process for looking at the numbers and then evaluating it and then making, optimizing, turning off, and all that. But this will give you a baseline so you get started on your own. And then we're on to lead nurture, right? Lead nurture, really end of the day, and I'll make this quick, is every lead should be touched weekly by your email system. And, you should set up autoresponders, follow-up calls, and retargeting, right? These are leads from advertising, so they are going to need a bit more work, and that is why it is important to have follow-up. So Aweber, GetResponse, ActiveCampaign, any of these softwares allow you to follow up automatically with these leads, drip on them, warm them up. I call this, for every client we have, we build an email follow-up sequence. We call it the lead oven, so that a lead comes in, we get their email address, and they're getting automatic emails, automatic texts, automatic voice broadcasts to push them to the next spot, which makes our clients' life a lot easier. And that's pretty much it. So that's the social media local ads funnel. That's how you go out and build it. Covered everything. How do you write it? And then the last step, obviously, is to turn this skill into a business. And once you have the skill, number 1, you could basically, for virtually any business, you could find customers on demand. And it allows you to create a repeatable process to automate the process of finding customers for your business. So you could use this. One thing we'll talk about in a second is how Dan kind of gave me, essentially, he said, hey, could you do this for other businesses? And one of the businesses that we did it for was Ashley's Swag business. So we'll cover that, how we did that. So that way, you're not cold calling, you're not harassing, you're going from that unwelcome, you're going from unwelcome pest to a welcome guest, right? Because they're coming to you. It's pull marketing, not push marketing, because they're coming at you, right? So this is something that you would use for their business, creating an automated way for them to generate customers. And then not only that, for your business, whether you're selling SEO, whether you're selling web design. And again, once you understand the skill set, this is something that you can sell for $1,000, $3,000, even $10,000 a month. And that is it. So we will go back and let me know if you got any questions.